last week I decided to do an audit on my recycling. Not because I don't know how to recycle, but I wanted to share some insights on how recycling really can help us to green our home. But also, I want to share some common mistakes that happen when we recycle and why those common mistakes will lead us to believe that all items that we put into the recycling bin will in fact be recycled. Hi, my name is Angela Moore. I'm a sustainability consultant in my 9 to 5, but in my 5 to 9, I work to green my home for me and my daughter. In this video, I am going to show you a week's worth of my recycling. So let's hop right into the video and let me show you my recycling for a week as a sustainability consultant. Okay, so this is a week worth of my recycling waste and I'm gonna audit it. I have some sheets spread out just to protect the table of anything that's in the audit, but I don't think that it would ruin the table. I'm going to separate the items from landfilled paper, plastic, glass, and aluminum, and then I have composting, and I've X'd that out because that will not be part of the recycling this audit. I'm going to set aside some examples of good product packaging and also examples of not so good product packaging. So let's let the audit begin. One thing that we can say about aluminum cans, they're actually pretty straightforward. We all know that aluminum cans can be recycled, and we can definitely tell that the packaging on aluminum cans, it has the chasing arrow. So one of the key symbols for recycling is chasing arrow. And you see the chasing arrow here. The one good information that I really appreciate about packages that have the chasing arrow is I like when packages also include this information, how to recycle.info. So when you look at the chasing arrow, there's a little information there. That actually is a website that you can go to. I'm going to actually place the website somewhere, maybe at the bottom of the screen here or on the top here, but I think it's easier if I place it right here. This website is amazing. It shows you how to recycle mostly all products that are in the United States. I really like that. So in this aluminum category, this is pretty straightforward. We know aluminum can be recycled. The only issue that I had was my daughter still had soda in one of the cans, which kind of made some of the paper a little wet. You want to kind of avoid that if possible. But yeah, so one key thing about recycling is the contents have to be empty. She just didn't empty it all the way, and then it kind of spilled over into the recycling. But the key to recycling is you want to keep it empty, you want to have it empty, and you want to keep it dry. So those are some of the keys to recycling. This is a category that I did not write on the table, and I really forgot about this category. This is a carton. These are recyclable. You just have to empty them, and the key to recycling these cartons is you empty it, but you put the cap back on, okay? Why are they asking you to empty and put the cap on? And I'm gonna show you why. As a rule of thumb for recycling, you have to make sure that the item that you are recycling has to be larger than a quarter. That is like somewhat of a standard rule of thumb. Within my municipality, I live in St. Louis, Missouri. The recycling service that my condo uses is Republic. Republic, that is one thing about their kind of conveyor belts. If it is smaller than a quarter, it's going to fall between the recycling. So as you can see, this cap is about quarter size. So you really still want to put the cap back on all of your items that you're going to be recycling for several reasons, so that it can be recycled correctly. Two, the smaller parts don't fall through the little conveyor belt of when the recycling is being processed at the recycling plant. So you want to put that cap on. Additionally, the cap helps to lessen the spills. It's not required in St. Louis or for Republic Service for you to rinse out your recycling, but you still want to make sure it's empty, like there's no liquid in there. But these are recyclable. Cartons are recyclable. I actually did have things that could technically be composted, but I do not compost in my loft, but I'm really thinking about it. I'll give it another try. I think this summer, if I find a composting system that meets my standards, let me just say that. But I had a leaf in there from a plant, and then as you saw, I pulled these napkins out of a paper bag. I already know my daughter did this, and I will explain why. She is like many others in various households. They confuse, napkins to be recyclable. I know how that can be confused as being recyclable, but napkins are not recyclable in your single stream bin. If you have compost and you are doing if you are composting with a company that really composts, really has a large scale compost where they have the huge composting mounds and the heat is really going, you can recycle these paper towels in there. But for this household, those should be going to landfill. So let's also talk about something else that was in that paper bag that my daughter had, okay? That was these. And I'm gonna move this over here as well, and I'm gonna move these other landfill items over here. I know she recycled these because this is something I always tell her is not recyclable, but it seems to not stick. But it's just not her. It's a lot of the general public feel that plastic utensils are recyclable. The reality is they are not. They are not recyclable. And the same with plastic straws. This is also something else that my daughter does, and I kind of catch her, and I think I caught her with these two containers, and I was like, hey, take the straw out of there and put it in trash. So, be mindful when you're recycling at home. Plastic utensils, plastic straws are not recyclable. Those go into the landfill. Now, one way that organizations could just alleviate this flaw is to have lids that you can actually drink out of. Those would be ideal, but it all comes back to packaging design. Some packaging and design is just not designed to optimize recycling, and that's the thing with plastic cups. they have to go with some type of straw. Either you're going to use your own reusable straw or you're going to get a plastic straw. But be mindful, the plastic straw is landfill waste. Okay? Another thing that I want to talk about is glass. Glass items actually can be reused. And the reason why I have very few glass items in recycling is, for the most part, I reuse them. I don't really recycle a lot of glass items. I usually just tear the label off of them and just clean any type of glue that's still on the glass container. I also usually save the lid as well, and I just put it in a dishwasher, and then I use this for food scraps and things like that. So this actually can be reusable. I have in the past saved these sparkling water containers. I don't buy these often because I bought a soda stream to reduce my waste of this. In the past, I have done the same thing, peeled the labels off. I've used them as flower vases. I've used them for water again. So glass is something I really don't have in my recycling stream, but I'm going to talk about a great use of glass and a company that I like that really does packaging well and that I have followed for many years, and I still love their products because their sustainability story is amazing. And that company is L'Occitane. This is an empty glass jar that I have from L'Occitane. I do not plan to recycle it. I probably will reuse it just like I will reuse this sauce jar, but I usually reuse their packaging. Their packaging is absolutely beautiful. You can reuse them for a lot of things within your bathroom. But if you don't want to reuse them, one thing that you can do, as you can see, these are both the same product. Make sure that your glass jar is empty, like I said before, and then go ahead and peel off the labels if you can. So it has a label in the front, it has a label in the back, and you can just go ahead and put that into recycling, and this whole container, including the lid, can be recycled from L'Occitane. Like I said, this is one of those brands that I absolutely love. If you get a chance, please check out their sustainability story. It is so beautiful. They really understand how products should be packaged, but then they really also understand what should be done with that packaging after a product is done, right? Another thing is, recently they came out with refills of this product. I bought this before they had the refills, but like I said before, it's not a L'Occitane video, but if you get a chance, check out their sustainability story on their website. It is a beautiful sustainability story. I love L'Occitane products, and I love their sustainability statements. And also, I love the sourcing of their materials. Beautiful, absolutely beautiful. So now let's move on to plastics. This is pretty straightforward with plastics. It's the same with aluminum. Usually when you get plastics in these clamshells, they have, the chasing arrow on the back. So you already know, hey, these clamshell type of things that are for berries and things like that, you know that those can go directly in the recycling bin. Sometimes people use them for a lot of different things. I have seen people use these to grow microgreens. So they would put like whatever membrane that they wanted to use, and then they would sprinkle the microgreens on it. They will close up the clamshell, put it in the window, and you have a container for your microgreens. So I have seen others reuse these clamshells for that. I don't. They just go into the recycling bin. I already have a somewhat of a hydroponic system for my microgreens, so this I probably would not reuse. Paper products for the most part, very straightforward. But I wanted to share an example of what some companies are doing. And then I also found this in landfill. I don't know why my daughter would put a hair tie in recycling, but it really is just landfill. So back to the paper products. I am going to show some great examples of paper recycling from products. One of those examples come from Kiehl's. This is from a recent purchase that I had from Kiehl's. I love Kiehl's. I really do like their products, but I love how they are slowly evolving into a more and more sustainable brand. One thing that I like about their paper packaging and even their regular packaging of their products is not only do they show you how to recycle, but they are also giving you education on recycling. So they are saying USA Disposal, they're telling you about recycling rates in the US, and they're encouraging you to recycle. I love this. I absolutely love this because not only are they telling you that this package is recyclable, they're showing you that other components within this package can be recycled as well, and what are the current recycling rates in the United States. I just love that. This is a great example of how product packaging should be like across all product lines. It's easy to follow, you know what to expect, and you know exactly what to do with this product, to recycle it. This is a container that I got, and this is from the brand Basin. I also love the packaging of theirs. It says this box comes from recyclable material and it is 100% recyclable. So you know that they not only use recyclable material in this product, but they also are telling you to recycle this product. And to make recycling even better, it's more ideal for you to flatten out boxes like this or paper products like this so that they don't take up so much room in your recycling bin, but you just flatten it and add it back to recycling. And the last example that I have is actually from a local brand here in St. Louis. Their recycling is pretty simple. I just like how big it is, right? It's telling you that this is 100% recyclable. So it just can go right into your single stream bin. And I really like that. I like that about this. It's simple. It's not a lot of reading. This can be recycled. So that is an audit of my waste stream, and it provides a lot of insight, right? It really shows something that sometimes things are just thrown into recycle just out of carelessness, right? But it also shows that sometimes recycling can be confusing. These are plastic, they went into the recycling bin. That can be confusing, but we know they're landfill. Tips to take away when it comes to recycling. Make sure that your container is empty and free of any products. If your container comes with a lid, make sure you put the lid back on to the container before you add it into your recycling bin. If you have a drink cup that has come with a plastic straw, take the straw out of the drink cup. That goes to landfill, but you can recycle the cup. And for papers are pretty straightforward. You just want to make sure that the papers are not greasy or wet when you put them into the recycling. And those are pretty much the easy and standard rules of recycling. But there are several lessons that I wanted to share from auditing my recycling bin. And those lessons are that sometimes what we really want to recycle is just not possible to recycle. And that is very common with a lot of households. They feel that all paper and plastic products can be recycled. And as you saw from the audit, that isn't the case. Not all paper or plastic products can be recycled. The next thing that I learned from the audit is really a lot of the items within the audit technically could be repurposed. Definitely the glass products that was in the audit can definitely be repurposed, and I usually always do that. And so glass items, you can always find a way to repurpose. And the last thing that I learned from this audit is, as consumers, we really have to pay attention to how products are packaged and really prioritize organizations and products that really care about the environment and really want to educate consumers on the environmental impacts from the products that they are consuming and purchasing. So those are the 3 lessons that I learned from auditing my recycling for the week. Although I'm a sustainability consultant and I work in sustainability every day, those are really great reminders, even for me, to really step back and take a look at product packaging even more and prioritize organizations that prioritize sustainability. Thank you for watching today, and happy greening.